needed to catalyze the development of the country's hydrocarbon and renewable energy potential, as well as infrastructure. Significant new investment is required, as well as developed in 1963. It is sponsored by almost the entire petroleum industry of Pakistan, comprising the sponsors comprise of both local, foreign, as well as multinational organizations, all having growth in new energy sources, as well as new technologies and solutions, building a responsible and secure energy future in which indigenous and every home in Pakistan. We need to bring energy and power to every village in the country. We need the energy and power to drive the country's to the sponsoring companies, without whom this event would not have been possible. I thank the PIP and NED teams for their efforts to PIP's identity. To my fellow directors of PIP board, colleagues in the energy industry, members of the government, the Honorable Minister, the Special Assistant to the Prime Minister for Energy, and the government functionaries for taking time out of their busy schedule to be with us as we share the future.
Pakistan's exploration and production sector. And as we all know, that a reliable and comparative oil and gas field, government plans and policies. Mr. Nadeem Babar.
A little bit about philosophy, where we are and where we should be going. As we all know, in today's world, the global economy, and we continue to operate in isolation, then we are remiss in fulfilling our duty as policymakers or as a lockstep, or in some cases even leapfrog, and get in line with what is there for us to expect. If you have heard, and all of you know, that the ingress of statements for people like Mercedes and BMW, the top way from now. That's in the lifetimes of most of us here, hopefully. When that happens, of course, there's going to come optimization using AI for every kind of equipment is actually going to start breaking down some barriers in terms of technology. And when that happens, and we will need to move to more efficient and more competitive market environment. If you ever wondered why is it that for the longest time gas turbines had efficiencies that ranged maximum up to mid-40s, and the intelligence and optimizations. Another trend that people don't realize, I certainly think it's going to happen, is hydrogen. The only barrier left is just like LNG has to be moved in liquid form. Natural gas has to be moved in liquid form over long distances. How do we move hydrogen in liquid form at economical costs? And very soon, in my opinion, less than 10 years, you will see solutions to that. And when you have gotten to that, it's going to completely redraw the energy landscape on the supply side. I could go on and on and on. I'll just mention one other trend, and that's on the demand side. We've had technology for the longest time, never really used it, but now, certainly in the West, in the developed economies, you're seeing the demand side management through AI systems. So I have a home somewhere, I'm out of the home most of the time, I have various appliances in the home, I have air conditioning in the home. Through my phone, and now frankly, in the coming days, through my verbal order, not even through the phone, and better still, through an AI system that detects my living habits and patterns, I should be able to reduce my energy use in my house or in my office or anywhere I spend time, anywhere from 30 to 40%. This is happening today. So on the supply side, you have efficiencies going up, you have optimizations going up, you have new methods of transporting fuels, and you have new fuels coming in. And on the demand side, you have significant potential for reduction in actual energy used per capita. And you have significant transformation of what kind of energy is to be used, especially vis-a-vis electric vehicles. So let me ask all of you, most of you represent industry here. Is our industry geared up to deal with all these challenges? Frankly, how many of you have even thought about these challenges that this economy is going to be facing in less than a decade? Raise your hands if you, honestly, raise your hands if you have thought about it, that you really will need to transform this economy, if you're going to be in lockstep with what is happening globally. Very few. So therein lies my point. Now, in the backdrop of what is going to happen in the future, vis-a-vis the energy scene, where are we today as an industry? And now I'm talking generally about energy, petroleum being a major sector, but some things that I'm going to say now also apply to electricity. Well, first of all, we are structured in a way as an economy, and certainly in the government, and to some extent even in the industry, that we like to operate in silos. What do I mean by that? Well, today PIP is launching the 25-year projection of demand and supply. Let me ask the question, how much input in these kinds of projections have we had in the past? I'm not talking about today's study, but in the past. With electricity, 40% of your primary energy goes into electricity to make secondary energy, which is the usable form for many of us in our daily lives. So has there been a collaboration in the past where the electricity chain as well as the petroleum chain have actually been integrated in terms of the demand projections and where do we need to go? And the honest answer is no, it has not. We are now beginning to do that, a little bit with push, a little bit with pull, and we hope that in the coming months we will have a better integrated energy plan. So one of the things,
designed booths for the delegates and the media to visit, as well as for the valuable networking. Please note. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to move on to the presentation from the speakers. For the first presentation, I would like to invite Mirza Faizan Ahmed's Energy Outlook. Mirza Faizan Ahmed.
Minister of Energy, Mr. Omar Ayub Khan, the Special Assistant to the Prime Minister on Petroleum, Mr. Nadeem Babar, Secretary Petroleum Division, Mr. Asad Hayat. I feel it an honor to present the Pakistan Energy Outlook and to be a member of this team which developed this PEO 2019. In just 5 years, Department of Economics and Management Sciences has this visible space and now contributing to different international economics and management sciences. Dr. Javed Hanif, Chairperson, Department of Petroleum Engineering, and from PIP, Mr. Asim Murtaza Khan, Mr. Mohammad Danish, Mr. Adil Rahman, and Mr. Waqas Ahmed. Pakistan is facing several economic challenges, and in fact, one of the most important root causes of these challenges has been the energy crisis. Currently, 87% of the energy supply comprises of fossil fuels. Almost 50% of the energy supply is import-based. That comprises of almost 4% of GDP when we pay our import bills. And the major issues are, in fact, energy shortages, rapidly increasing and piling up import bill, and lesser energy security in conclusion. There's a need to future energy outlook, and as Mr. Nadeem Babar has already highlighted, there is a need to plan an integrated plan, and for this, we'd like to present this energy outlook to inform and assist the stakeholders, policymakers. And that solution should be sustainable. Sustainable means that should have least cost, capitalizing more on indigenous resources, and being environment friendly. To this particular context, we have set these objectives, and the first and most important is to have an outlook of primary and final, or we can say primary and secondary demand and supply for next 25 years with multiple scenarios, and to find the appropriate fuel mix with the maximum possible use of indigenous resources. The scope is, however, certainly limited to a typical focus on the outlook of primary and final energy demand and supply on the basis of historical economic and energy data from 1990 to 2018, and a few key assumptions I'm going to discuss later. Further, there's a current and future energy production data and supply projections we have taken from published sources and relevant authorities. 4 alternative scenarios are developed based on real GDP growth and technology advancement in the economy and energy sector. May I have it settled? Thank you. Now this is the primary and final energy. Primary energy comprises of 7 or 8 fuels different. We have oil, gas, LPG, coal, hydro, nuclear, renewable, and imported energy, and that if we simply deduct transformation losses, power usage, transmission and distribution losses, auxiliary consumption, and non-energy use, and converts to final energy demand, which the people require in terms of 5 typical fuels: oil, gas, coal, LPG, and electricity. These are the data sources we have used in this study. And the key assumptions include growth in final energy demand of oil, gas, coal, and net electricity based on RMX model, which is autoregressive moving average with exogenous variables that gives us short-term forecasts and short-term growth rates for different type of fuels, which we assume that converge to long-term growth rates in next 10 years. Reducing share of oil and gas based power generation, this is what we have incorporated as an assumption. And we also assume that 100% of the population will have access to electricity in next 15 years. There'll be certain impact, as the CPAC is now a reality, there'll be a certain impact of the CPAC, and it'll increase the annual energy demand by 1.5% in next 10 years, because we predict that there'll be around 2% additional GDP because of the CPAC, and it will gradually increase the demand. If there is an increase in 1% GDP, we have around 0.75% increase in the primary energy demand. So this is what we have also incorporated here. And finally, we have taken that the government's plan of plan projects and targets will complete on time. These are the 4 scenarios we have incorporated. And if I consider these 3 advancements, the first one, we have around 26% electricity transmission and distribution losses, if we assume that they are going to come down to 16% in future. They are a very high. The production of EVs, as I highlighted earlier, as per the government plan, it is around 30% by 2030, but here we have taken some conservative figures, and we assume that in the next 25 years, it will be around 20%. And certainly off-grid electricity generation approaches to 5% of total electricity production by 2043. These are the long-term.
I would request Chairman P.I. Now I would request Masood Saab to present. Now I request Mr. Masood Ahmed to present plaque to Mr. Asad Hayatuddin. Thank you, sir.
all the members of the Petroleum Institute of Pakistan, the delegates who are present here visiting Pakistan from abroad, and our Pakistani colleagues, delegates of the conference, the sponsors of today's conference, of the Pakistan Oil and Gas Conference. Especially, I would like to mention the gold, silver, and bronze sponsors. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the press and electronic media, Assalamu alaikum, and a very good morning to all of you. I want to thank the Pakistan Institute of Petroleum for putting together this conference, which they've been doing since the last few years. And especially this year, it is very important for us, for the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf and allied parties government, because we are rolling out a series of policies in the energy sector. We presented the new renewable energy policy draft to the Prime Minister about 3 days ago. The energy policy will be coming up in another month and a half. The new E&P policy will be coming out in another month and a half as well. So I think it's very poignant and important that the interaction with the members and operators in the sector carries on, so that you can get a sense of where the government is headed and your input comes into these policies. I want to compliment Nadeem Bhai for his excellent and lucid talk that he gave you a whole canvas of what the industry would look like, what's going to happen in this industry. And I think that was his 30 years of international and domestic experience talking. And he spoke from the heart. So Nadeem, my compliments to you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just start off by saying that the industry, the energy industry, is also poised at the Kodak moment. And I'm going to elaborate on the Kodak moment in a bit. But first of all, before we go into the details of what the Kodak moment means for the industry, and especially the energy industry as we stand today, let me give you a few statistics so that you can mull over them. Because some of these statistics, when you focus on them and you see what sort of a market you're dealing with, it changes the perspective. Mirza Faizan Saab gave an excellent presentation of the energy outlook and presented the report to me, and be sure that I'll be reading it tonight. But let's just look at some of the statistics. Pakistan is a country of 200 million people plus. Our official GDP is 300 billion. But many people do not factor in the informal economy, which is approximately equivalent to the formal GDP. So as a whole, when you see the demographics of the country, our actual size of the economy comes to $600 billion. Put things in perspective. Saudi Arabia's GDP, ladies and gentlemen, is close to $850 billion. Now things, start making sense. But there's another caveat, there's another difference between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is a hydrocarbon-rich country, one of the largest producers of oil and petroleum products in the world. Pakistan is not. Where is this productivity, or where is this growth coming from, contribution to the GDP coming from? It is our industrial, our services sector, and our agricultural sector. We've got a very robust and diversified economy, ladies and gentlemen. And when you factor in another factor, and that is the rapid urbanization of our population. Almost 50% of our population today lives in the urban centers, and it is growing. Those of you who are familiar with the landscape of Islamabad, if you went out where the present airport of Islamabad is, this was all rural area, this was just fields. It's changed. Land valuations are changing. What is that doing? That is increasing the purchasing power parity of the people. What is that driving? That is driving the demand for consumer items. What is that driving? That is driving the demand for energy. What is that driving? That is driving the demand for industrial products, for consumer products. That is driving the demand of the industry that is servicing and manufacturing goods for these people and the population. And that means more industrialization in the country, more demand for energy in the country. And that is where the interesting mix comes in. When you, in the E&P sector, in the oil and gas sector, in the energy sector, when you look at all this latent demand and you're looking at it on a spreadsheet with projections going up to 2040 and beyond, there are challenges, but there's also good news. The good news is there is potential for investment and potential for growth to service the demand, the latent demand that is present in Pakistan. If you look at the cement industry, I'm just going to give you a couple of drivers of growth in the industry. They've been adding incremental capacity, and cement industry, when it adds capacity, it's always a rapid increase, because that's the nature of the industry. And all those folks who are doing that, they are market-savvy businessmen. They know what they're doing. They are projecting the demand for the future. When you keep all these things in perspective, ladies and gentlemen, and then the challenges that are here today, that we are facing, we have a rising import bill, a rising current account deficit, which we are trying to suppress with import substitution. We are trying to reverse the energy matrix that we have today. The dependency on imported fuels has to go down. It is essential for our national security. And when we talk about the energy sector as it stands today, and as was mentioned by Nadeem Bhai, we've got substitute fuels and we've got competitive fuels going around. Let's just dwell upon renewable energy. Ladies and gentlemen, the pricing of renewable energy is dropping because of advancements in technology. We are talking about the set rate, the established rate in Pakistan is 4.5 cents per unit. We are talking about energy rates coming down to 2 cents per unit in the very near future, in the 3 to 4 year time horizon. We are talking about, I was in China, and we were talking about solar energy rates going down to 0.5 cents per unit. So when you have these competitive factors that you're dealing with, you have to put on your thinking hat and your research and development hat and see how you can be part of the change. And now comes the Kodak moment. How many of you have heard Kodak? Raise your hands, please. The reason being because it was one of the largest film manufacturers in the world. What happened? It just disappeared. Why? Because it did not forecast the change in photography and digital photography that came about. They just didn't forecast it. It was business as usual. And they said, oh, this is a fad. Digital photography will go out of the window. Nobody can capture light as you can do with a film emulsion, an emulsion film. Guess what? They were wrong. The digitization of and technology changes that came about in the world of photography, it just revolutionized everything. And lo and behold, today on your smartphones, you can take photographs that are 24 megapixels. The same thing is happening in the energy sector, ladies and gentlemen. When Nadeem Babar Bhai and myself, we assumed office, one of our challenges in our sector was sitting down with the people and telling them that, listen, you have to keep on adding energy into the pipeline. There has to be incremental, cheaper form of energy that you have to keep on packing in. Why? Because we've got this latent demand. We've got this demand from a sector of the informal economy. And again, going back to that and putting things in perspective, a country like the United States, the European Union, which have very well-documented economies, but many people are not aware of a fact that for the European Union, about 18 to 20% of their economy is also in the informal sector. Why? The cash base, the mom and pop shops, the taxis. In the United States, it is also about 15%. So you can imagine the size of those economies, and 20% of the European Union economy, or 15% in the informal economy. So when you factor that into the equation, then, ladies and gentlemen, you have to provide for them. And the demand for the cheap energy is there. So If you go forward and we are looking at a downward trajectory in the prices of energy, and we are telling our people that stop thinking with blinders around your eyes, open your minds to the fact that in today's world, as you bring in more energy, we will be replacing the more expensive energy out of the pipeline. We'll be keeping it away, and it may be even cheaper just to make the capacity payments and bring in the renewable energy. Because once in our matrix of growth, the drivers of economic growth, energy is a major component. I don't have to tell this to this august audience. Once we bring that in, it just unleashes the sector. It gives tremendous impetus to our economy. That's where competition comes in. And our growth targets for the renewable energy sector, ladies and gentlemen, by the year 2025, what you saw, what Mr. Faizan projected, approximately 2 to 3% of renewable energy, we want to take it by 2025 to 20% of our energy mix. And by the year 2030, renewable energy, which does not include hydel, we are projecting it to reach 30% of our energy mix. Those are the changes that are taking place. Now, when we bring all this into the perspective of where technology is taking us, in the petroleum exploration sector, you're the experts here, ladies and gentlemen, but let me just add the component what Mr. Nadeem Babar also alluded to and mentioned in detail, artificial intelligence. And another component with that, when you factor that in, is quantum computing. The world of computing as we know it today, the binary, the 0 and 1, it's going to change. The decision-making abilities with quantum computing, with artificial intelligence, the energy exploration and production functions, whether you look at it upstream, midstream, downstream, energy production, it's just going to revolutionize the energy matrix. Distributed generation systems. What we are looking at today, some of our experts, they had this mindset that no, we should just, the renewable energy, the grid can't take it. Well, we are pushing them to make changes in the grid, to make use of the variable energy that is available on demand. And we told them that you have to realize that the Kodak moment shouldn't happen in the industry to the energy sector itself. Because the technologies are fast becoming available. Just to give you an example, in the military, the F-18, the F-16 aircraft, what we are manufacturing, the JF-17 aircraft, just to give you what the inherent nature of these aircraft and what technology does to them. If you were to fly these aircraft without onboard computers, ladies and gentlemen, the pilot will not be able to fly that aircraft because it is inherently unstable to fly without onboard flight computers. They are making corrections at the rate of 400 calculations per second to keep the aircraft to keep the aircraft flying. The same thing is happening elsewhere. So with these smart grids that are coming up, we'll have to look at net metering. When net metering energy comes into the system, how much and what at the microsecond demand level will have to be analyzed. Where is energy required? Where is it going? What is the active and reactive load? All these calculations, which are today being done with a 24-hour lag period, and that too at the very macro level, it will have to go down at the micro level. Another important factor, changes in the material science. What seems impossible today in the exploration of hydrocarbons is going to be very possible in the very near future. Take the example of rare earth metals. The investments China is making in these very metals, in the material sciences, in magnetism, in various other rare earth metals, and the way these materials are combined, you're creating a class of metals that was never even thought of before, with the ability to drill deeper, with the ability for your computers transporting all these goods and services. Nadeem Bhai mentioned the harnessing of hydrogen. Let's go a step further. With quantum computing around the block, fission energy has already been harnessed militarily as well as for peaceful purposes. Hydrogen or fusion energy has been harnessed for military purposes with the hydrogen bomb. But fusion energy has not been harnessed for civilian purposes. Why? Because the plasma has to be contained. There's no metal to contain the plasma at 1.5 million degrees Celsius. That's hotter than the core of the sun, ladies and gentlemen. They're working on it. And it can only be contained with strong magnets. And where do those magnets come from? From the research and development in rare earth metals. That's where it's coming together. So now you see how all these components fit together and give an impetus to the energy sector. And to give you an example, the changes in the electric fuel vehicles, the cell technology, the fuel cell technology, the rapid changes that are taking place. We'll have the ecosystem, Toyota, Honda, Mercedes, BMW, all these companies are investing billions of dollars in their research and development for this very purpose. And once the demand for fuel for the hydrocarbons diminishes, we'll have a pricing structure which would have been thought of impossible today or even a few years ago. Oil trading at less than $8 a barrel. So all the companies in this industry will have to be more nimbler in looking at how do you fit in. Look at shale oil. When price of oil went above a certain level, investments, all of a sudden it became very efficient and economical to invest in these technologies. Ladies and gentlemen, the conference has to carry on, so I'm going to slowly start winding up my brief talk. What I would encourage is the research and development by the oil and gas sector, the energy sector with academia, and I'm very happy to see the living example over here with universities in Pakistan. But let's take it a step further as well, in which it is a transparent and competitive environment where companies come in and invest. We are reducing red tape. We are making the system more nimbler, more efficient, more proactive, so that companies have to interact with government only on a need-to basis. There shouldn't be paper pushing taking place, because we realize that the most valuable commodity for any businessman or a leader of business houses is time. So we want to leverage your time so that you can spend it on more active and more productive uses. And that is what we are doing. We've got, as I mentioned, we've got our renewable policy out, and we got all the stakeholders in. All the stakeholders' input came in for the first time. Similar thing was going to happen with the E&P policy, as well as with the energy policy. And we want you to invest in Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, because the variables for growth, for profits are there. The private sector's chief motivator is profits, because you're answerable to your shareholders, be it in any value chain or upstream, midstream, downstream, distribution systems of electricity, power generation. And last but not least, let me just give some figures to you so you have this perspective. In the power sector alone, the generation sector, as we mentioned, and the renewable energy projects that are coming in, the ones that we unleashed, they were blocked for various reasons. They're now coming in and investing. The potential for generation alone is $40 billion. For transmission, $20 billion. For the distribution system, $20 billion. We are putting in the power sector at the distribution level, the automatic metering infrastructure. That means your meter to your grids all integrated. The T&D losses are going to go down. There's a complete different program going on loss recovery, which I don't want to go into the details over here because this is not the audience or the forum. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to wind up and just say that welcome to Pakistan, and those of you, the Pakistani companies over here, invest. The sky is the limit, the returns are there, and you have a very proactive government to address your requirements. Thank you very much. Pakistan Zindabad.
Thank you very much, sir, for your pertinent speech, and thank you once again for gracing the
I worked for them for 5 years. Unit Texas Petroleum actually. It was Unit Texas Petroleum. When he and I were joined together about like 4
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। आज पाकिस्तान इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ पेट्रोलियम और उनके स्पॉन्सर्स को हम लोग मुबारकबाद पेश करते हैं, जिन्होंने आज ये कॉन्फ्रेंस पाकिस्तान लेवल पे और बैनुल अक़वामी दुनिया से माहिरीन जो आए हैं उन्होंने इसका इनेकाद किया और बहुत अच्छी रिसर्च इन्होंने पेश की है। आज उनकी रिपोर्ट भी शाया हुई है और प्रेजेंट भी हुई है। नदीम बाबर साहब को और मुझे उन्होंने प्रेजेंट की है, सेक्रेटरी असद साहब को प्रेजेंट की है और उस पर मुस्तकबिल के हवाले से भी इन्होंने रोशनी डाली है कि पाकिस्तान का एनर्जी मिक्स क्या होना चाहिए और पाकिस्तान को जो मौक़े कंपनीज़ के पास मौजूद हैं वो क्या हैं और जो यहाँ पे चैलेंजेस हैं वो क्या हैं, उन सारी चीज़ों पे इन्होंने रोशनी डाली है। मैं इनको खराज तहसीन पेश करना चाहता हूँ और इनको हमने सारे इंडस्ट्री के एक्सपर्ट्स को हमने यही यहाँ पे यकीन दहानी कराई है कि पाकिस्तान तहरीक इंसाफ की हुकूमत अपने वज़ीर आज़म इमरान खान साहब की सरबराही में हम लोग बिल्कुल साफ़ शफाफ पॉलिसीज़ ला रहे हैं, जिसके साथ इंडस्ट्री को एक मौका होगा कि वो पाकिस्तान में इन्वेस्ट करे, क्योंकि एनर्जी सेक्टर एक ऐसा सेक्टर है जहाँ पे बेतहाशा नौकरियों के मौके पैदा होते हैं, टेक्निकल स्किल लेबर जो है वो आती है और जिस वक्त आपके पास मौके मिलते हैं मुलाजमतों के तो उसके साथ खुशहाली आती है मुल्क में। तो इस सेक्टर में तेल की दरियाफ्त के साथ बिजली के नए جو رینیویبل انرجی کی پالیسی ہے, ایکسپلوریشن پالیسی جو ابھی آئے گی, اس کے ساتھ ساتھ آپ کی پیٹرولیم پالیسی, آپ کے پاس انرجی پالیسی نہیں آئے گی. اس کے ساتھ فائدہ یہ ہوگا کہ جو صنعت کار ہیں اور جو سرمایہ کار ہیں ان کے پاس ایک روڈ میپ آ جائے گا, اور وہ اپنے رسک پروفائل کو دیکھتے ہوئے, اپنی ضروریات کو دیکھتے ہوئے پاکستان میں وہ انویسٹ کریں گے, کیونکہ مارکیٹ پاکستان کی ایک ایسی ہے جو کہ دنیا میں بہت تیزی سے بڑھتی ہوئی مارکیٹ ہے, اور ایشیا کیا پوری دنیا میں لوگوں کی نظریں اس سیکٹر کے ساتھ ہیں. سی پیک میں بھی ہمارے پاس فری ٹریڈ اگریمنٹ ہے چین کے ساتھ, تو بہت ساری کمپنیز آ کے یہاں پہ انویسٹ بھی کرنے کے مواقع دیکھ رہی ہیں اور ہمارے ساتھ وہ کانٹیکٹ میں ہیں. انشاءاللہ وہ بھی آئیں گے تو پاکستان کی گروتھ ٹریجیکٹری جو ہے وہ بہت بہتر ہوگی, معیشت کا پہیہ بھی چلے گا اور صنعت کا بھی, اور انشاءاللہ تعالیٰ روزگار کے مواقع بھی اسی چیز کے ساتھ بنیں گے.
آپ نے کہا 1.5 مہینے میں توانائی کی پالیسی آ رہی ہے,
جی.
تو یہ بتایا آپ نے متبادل ذرائع کی بات بھی کی ہے, تو جو انفراسٹرکچر ہے اس کے حوالے سے آپ کیا کہیں گے؟
ہم لوگوں کا جی جہاں تک رینیویبل انرجی کی بات ہے, اسی ہوٹل میں اور باقی بھی جگہوں میں ہماری ٹیمز نے پورا ایک اشتراک کے ساتھ پرائیویٹ سیکٹر کے مشورے کے ساتھ ہماری یہ پالیسی بنی ہے, جو کہ ہم نے وزیر اعظم صاحب کے سامنے رکھی ہے. ابھی اس کو ہم لوگ کابینہ کے پاس کیبنٹ کمیٹی آن انرجی کے سامنے رکھیں گے, پھر کابینہ کے پاس لے کے جائیں گے, اور پھر کاؤنسل آف کامن انٹرسٹ کے سامنے یہ رکھی جائے گی, اور اس پہ جتنے بھی صوبے ہیں ان کی بھی وہاں پہ نمائندگی ہوتی ہے. اور یاد رہے کہ یہ جتنے پروجیکٹس ہیں آپ کے رینیویبل انرجی کے, یہ لگنے ہی صوبے میں ہیں. یا ہم لوگ ونڈ کی ہوا کی بات کرتے ہیں تو وہ صوبہ سندھ جو ہے وہ اس سے مالا مال ہے. ہم لوگ سولر کا بات کریں تو وہ بلوچستان اور سندھ میں اور کے پی کے میں اور پنجاب کے کچھ ایریاز میں وہ جگہ مالا مال ہے اس سے. ہم لوگ یا پن بجلی یا پانی کی بات کریں تو وہ کے پی کے میں وہ علاقہ جو ہے وہ اس سے مالا مال ہے. تو الحمدللہ یہ ایسی منجمد پالیسی ہے جس کے ساتھ مواقع جو ہیں وہ انڈسٹری کے ہوں گے, اور یہ کوئی 1-2 ارب روپے کی بات نہیں ہے, یہ اربوں ڈالرز کی انویسٹمنٹ کی ہم لوگ بات کر رہے ہیں. اور جب یہ انویسٹمنٹ آئے گی تو اس کے ساتھ یہ بجلی کی جو ہمارے پاس اس وقت مہنگی بجلی ہے اس کو یہ ریپلیس کرے گی, اس کی متبادل یہ آئے گی, اور آپ کی بجلی کی قیمتوں میں مستقبل میں کمی آئے گی. جو ابھی رینیویبل انرجی کا مکس ہے وہ پاکستان کے پورے انرجی مکس کا تقریباً 3-4% بھی نہیں بنتا. اس کو ہم لوگ اٹھا کے انشاءاللہ تعالیٰ 20% تک لے کے جائیں گے, اور سن 2025 تک اور سن 2030 تک اس کو ہم لوگوں نے 30% پہ لے کے جانا ہے. جو ابھی 1600 میگا واٹ ہے, یہ 2025 تک تقریباً 10,000 میگا واٹ پہ پہنچے گا, اور سن 2030 تک یہ تقریباً انشاءاللہ تعالیٰ 18,000 میگا واٹ تک پہنچے گا. تو یہ ہم لوگ بہت تیزی سے اس سیکٹر میں سرمایہ کاری کر رہے ہیں. بہت شکریہ گمن صاحب, ایک آپ کا بہت پرٹیننٹ کویشچن ہے. اس کا پرائم منسٹر صاحب نے اور ہماری ان کے آرڈرز پہ ہماری ایک کمیٹی بن گئی ہے, اور وہ کمیٹی جو ہے وہ ساری چیزیں آئی پی پیز کے حوالے سے اس پہ نظر ثانی کرے گی, اور وہ ان کو انڈیپینڈنٹلی دیکھے گی. نیکسٹ کویشچن, لاسٹ کویشچن. دیکھیں نہیں, ایسی میں نے کوئی بات نہیں کی. میں نے اس وقت یہ بات کی ہے جو آپ کی فیول ایڈجسٹمنٹ چارجز ہوتی ہیں وہ بین الاقوامی منڈی کے مطابق ہوتی ہیں, اس میں کیپیسٹی پیمنٹ سیپریٹ ہوتی ہیں, باقی چیزیں سیپریٹ ہوتی ہیں. تو وہ ہم نے بالکل ٹرانسپیرنٹلی اور صاف شفاف طریقے کے ساتھ کر رہے ہیں. لاسٹ کویشچن. بہت اچھا کویشچن ہے آپ کا. کراچی میں جس وقت بارشیں بھی ہوئی تھیں سیف اللہ صاحب, عید کے دن تھے اور میں اپنے گاؤں میں بھی تھا, اور میری چیئرمین نیپرا سے بھی بات ہوئی تھی اس کے حوالے سے, اور اسٹینڈنگ کمیٹی میں بھی شاید آپ اس دن موجود تھے جس وقت کراچی الیکٹرک کے چیف ایگزیکٹو اور ان کے دوسرے لوگ آئے تھے, اور چیئرمین نیپرا نے ان کو بڑی صاف شفاف طریقے سے ان کو بات کی. انہوں نے کہا جی ہم نے آپ کو بجلی ڈسٹریبیوٹ کرنے کا لائسنس دیا ہوا ہے, کل کرنے کا لائسنس نہیں دیا ہوا. وہ بہت صاف شفاف انہوں نے کیا ہے, اور وہ نیپرا کی انویسٹیگیشن ان کی جو کراچی الیکٹرک کی جو اس وقت اموات ہوئی ہیں اس پہ وہ انویسٹیگیشن جاری ہے, اور رپورٹ سامنے آ جائے گی, اور اسٹینڈنگ کمیٹی کے سامنے بھی ہم لوگ رکھیں گے اور پارلیمنٹ کے سامنے بھی. لاسٹ کویشچن. لاسٹ کویشچن جی, کانفرنس میں بھی آگے چلنا ہے. یہ فیصل وابڈا صاحب اس کو ڈیل کرتے ہیں، ان کے ساتھ آپ فیصل وابڈا صاحب ڈیل کرتے ہیں، ان سے آپ بات کر لیجیے گا. کس کی؟ ایران پر. اچھا آئی پی کے حوالے سے میں بات کروں گا کھلے فورم پہ. یہ کئی چیزیں جو ہوتی ہیں نیشنل انٹرسٹ میں آدمی اوپن فورم پہ نہیں کرتا. مہربانی کر کے نیشنل انٹرسٹ میں اس کو زیادہ آپ بات نہ کریں. نمبر 2، گیس کے بل کے حوالے سے ایس این جی پی ایل بورڈ نے اس پہ کورٹ میں گئے ہوئے ہیں. کورٹ کی جیسی یہ ختم ہوتا ہے تو اوگرا کی طرف سے اور ہماری طرف سے یہ ریکمنڈیشن ہے کہ جو آپ کا پریشر فیکٹر ہے اس کے بنا پہ کنزیومرز کو یہ واپس کیا جائے. ندیم بھائی آپ اس پہ ایڈ کرنا چاہیں گے پلیز.
اوگرا نے اس پہ کیلکولیشن کر کے یہ طے کیا تھا کہ 2.8 ارب روپے جو ہے وہ فالتو بل کیے گئے ہیں. ہم نے اس ریکمنڈیشن پہ گورنمنٹ کی طرف سے ڈائریکٹیو ایشو کیا تھا ایس این جی پی ایل کو، لیکن اس وقت اس پہ ایک کیس ہوا جو لاہور ہائی کورٹ میں ہے. ہماری انسٹرکشن اوگرا اور ایس این جی پی ایل دونوں کو ہے کہ جتنی جلدی ہو سکے اس کیس کو ڈسپوز آف کروایا جائے. آج چھٹیوں کے بعد لاہور ہائی کورٹ کھلا ہے، آپ کو معلوم ہوگا سمر ریسیس تھی. جیسے ہی یہ کیس ڈسچارج ہو، جو انشاءاللہ ہمیں امید ہے کہ سردیوں سے پہلے ہو جائے گا، تو یہ 2.8 بلین جو ہے یہ واپس ہو جائے گا.
کانفرنس کے بارے میں بھی بات کریں. کانفرنس کے بارے میں.
جی
کانفرنس کے بارے میں.
کانفرنس کے بارے میں میں کانفرنس کے بارے میں بس 2-3 چیزیں ایڈ کروں گا. عمر بھائی نے اسے کمپریہنسولی تو کور کر لیا. پہلی بات یہ کہ پہلی دفعہ ہم ایک ایکسرسائز شروع کر رہے ہیں جس کو انٹیگریٹڈ انرجی پلاننگ کے حوالے سے دیکھا جا رہا ہے کہ ہم آج کہاں پہ کھڑے ہیں، ہماری اگلے 10 15 20 25 سال انرجی کی ڈیمانڈ کیا ہے اور اس کو میٹ کرنے کے لیے ہمیں سورسز کیا دیکھنے ہیں. اس حوالے سے جو رپورٹ آج پریزنٹ کی ہے پی آئی پی نے، یہ بہت خوش آئند چیز ہے. اس کو لے کے ہم یہ ایک ایلیمنٹ ہوگا ہماری اوور آل پلاننگ میں اور اس کو ہر سال ریویو کیا جائے گا. سو یہ ہمیں بہت مدد دے گا. سو میں پی آئی پی کا شکریہ ادا کرنا چاہتا ہوں، باقی لوگوں کا صاحبان کا شکریہ ادا کرنا چاہتا ہوں کہ یہ ہماری لانگ ٹرم پلاننگ کا لازمی جز ہوگا. دوسری بات میں یہ کہنا چاہوں گا کہ گورنمنٹ کی طرف سے کوشش یہ ہے کہ ایز آف ڈوئنگ بزنس کریٹ کی جائے اور ایک کمپیٹیو انوائرمنٹ کیا جائے. اور ہماری خواہش یہ ہے اور ہمیں بہت امید ہے کہ جتنی بھی کمپنیاں یہاں پہ آپریٹ کر رہی ہیں، پاکستانی ہوں یا فورن کمپنیاں ہوں، وہ ہمارے ساتھ تعاون کر کے یہ انرجی کا جو مسئلہ ہے یا کاسٹ آف انرجی کا مسئلہ ہے یہ ہمیشہ کے لیے انشاءاللہ حل کریں گے اور یہ مل جل کے ہی ہوگا. بہت شکریہ.
تھینک یو ویری مچ.